Hey, so this is Andres Martinez-Munoz. This is Lab 3 for AS315 Fall 2016. This lab, they called it the Love Meter Lab. It's basically using a temperature sensor right there to turn on some LEDs based on a change in temperature or the change that the actual sensor is reading. So the way it's hooked up is the same usual power to ground. This yellow wire is actually the digital A0, or excuse me, the analog A0 that goes to the center terminal of the temperature sensor, because that's what's actually communicating back to the microcontroller that change in voltage. The cool thing about analog read is that you can measure discrete changes in voltages, and in this case the Arduino is between 0 and 5 volts, but you can actually get 1,023 actual discrete values in that range of 0 to 5 volts. So you can sense really tiny changes and do a lot with sensors. So these are the 3 LEDs that are hooked up that are changing according to what that sensor is getting. And those are just 3 resistors that are going to ground. So as for the actual code, it's set up nicely. They gave you some good tips like quick ways to assign pin modes using a for loop. And here's where you actually define your sensor value. You convert to voltage and then to temperature using the info from the data sheet about, this much millivolt change is equal to this much in Celsius. The sensor is actually really noisy because, as you can see here, I set up the serial monitor, and the temperature jumps a lot, way more than the 2-degree range that is kind of specified down here for the LEDs to change. So whenever the baseline temperature changes by 2 degrees, but not more than 4 degrees, one LED turns on, then 4 to 6 from baseline, another LED turns on, and so on and so forth. But it's too noisy, so whereas you're supposed to put your fingers on here to make it warmer, it's kind of doing it on its own right now, just because, again, the sensor is a little noisy. But the code does work and the logic is there, but it's just a noisy sensor.